What's up, everybody? I'm in Austin. I am not around my studio, as you can tell, and for Waking Infinity News, I tried recording something upstairs with my normal camera, but I didn't have the lighting and it looked like dog shit. Was really excited about this one. I had a whole episode about the Kyle Rittenhouse case and where big tech is headed in this direction as far as moving into the law. And I'll have to wait until next week to set that whole episode up for you guys. So I'm going to show you an episode of the Deeper Dives, which is usually only on benjosephstewart.com. And that's something that, because I can't do a normal episode for you, I am going to put one of these episodes that I really, really wished I could have put out onto the normal Waking Infinity News on YouTube, but haven't been able to, not because it's stuff I can't say on YouTube, but because I need to really give some amazing value to the Deeper Dive members. And with that being said, I give a lot of really incredible episodes that I wish could go out on YouTube, but they don't. And so I'm going to choose one of my favorite ones, and I'm going to show that to you guys right now. Thank you so much. It has been 1 year since the beginning of Waking Infinity News. It was 1 week after the 2020 election. I went to Tim Pool's house. I saw this house that he bought with YouTube money, basically, for really gathering a very strong follower base that listens to him on a daily basis with the news he gives. And I just said, Ben, just start moving towards that goal. And that goal really is to change what news really is. And that has to be a story that comes from a news anchor. So changing what news anchors really are there to communicate to you. And I'm here to hopefully give you as many solutions with sober looks at the world as I possibly can. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this episode of Waking Infinity News, which is really a deeper dive section from benjosephstewart.com. Here we go. And deeper down that rabbit hole we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you liked the main Waking Infinity News episode. I really liked it. I haven't gone so plainly towards exactly what I feel is happening. Usually I try to back it up with shit, and today I'm just like, nope. What's happening today is we are being colonized. We just don't understand what we is. We don't understand what's colonizing us because we think that all these things are separate from one another. Charles Eisenstein calls this the myth of separation. So what's happening to us is a part of the great Tao. And we have all these ways of explaining what it is, what's happening, who's behind it. And in many ways, this is, honestly, I do feel myself kind of backpedaling from a statement that I made when I was talking about Charles Eisenstein. He did an interview on Collective Evolution, and he said, I feel like it's generally a mistake to point out the instigators or the people or institutions behind the conspiracies that you're pointing out. And I thought, okay, what that sounds like to me is you're allowed to point out that somebody on the street is scamming an elderly person, but you're not allowed to point to the person who's actually doing it. And when you put it like that, it does seem kind of like, yeah, you should be able to. That's called accountability, because this person could go on and harm somebody else. As we expand it out to the greater phenomena that's happening, there are cults. They are absolute cults. And they have very close ties with FANGs, the Facebook, Apple or Alphabet, Amazon, Netflix, Google, which comes from Alphabet. And all of them are incestuous. I'm not talking about the people, I mean the businesses. They are incestuous. What I'm going to talk about today is the history, the present, and the future of what is at play. The whole point that I was getting into at Waking Infinity is we've terraformed the Earth. The UFO has landed. Technology is the alien presence that we are trying to prove on 60 Minutes and all this other shit. It's been here for quite some time. I've also talked about how you can literally teleport DNA. Now, it is not a perfected thing on the books yet, but with email, you can use email lasers and the PCR test that we're using heavily now to take take a DNA signature and code it into water, take that frequency code, put that into an MP3 file of sorts, send that to another country. That can be taken out and put into a laser, and the ionic pattern of that laser will actually impregnate the same genetic vibratory frequency inside distilled water, completely memory cleared, reset water. And then with the PCR, that vibratory signal can turn back into genetics. So with a high-powered enough laser from another star system, you could impregnate the waters here of Earth. So God spoke, breathed, moved across the waters, the face of the Earth, and then created. So I'm not trying to prove any of this stuff right now. What I am saying is the UFO has landed. The alien life form is already here in consciousness. It doesn't need its original body, but might actually wish to bring it. Who knows? And who knows what we're actually talking about, who and what this life form actually is. But it wishes to do the same thing that our ancient ancestors did in the Americas, coming here to the Americas. Most accounts say that they were looking for genetic diversity so they could marry into other tribes and other groups. The Neanderthal was largely incestuous, and that was a part of how the Neanderthals went out of style, if you will. The main thing that I'm saying is the same thing can happen once our planet, we have a lot of diversity, but through this process of homogeneity that we are experiencing right now, eventually we may deal with genetic diversity problems, and we may need to venture out to different star systems to see if we can find something else to plug the hole and turn into the new human 2.0. Well, that's already happening here. The alien is in the room, if you will. It's listening. It's already among us. We're building the algorithms. We're coding the open air prison system, if you will. We are putting up the 5G towers to create a full spectrum frequency band so it can breathe and autonomously recharge itself the same way that we can breathe and recharge ourselves just by surrendering to different acts, right? The autonomic nervous system triggers and we breathe. When we're tired, we fall asleep and we recharge. This technology, this UFO, and these alien life forces are here. They are among us. So, to build their body, we need to go back in time to explain why technology has been with us a while. And even the Native Americans might have been mining the United States. There's evidence to this. Mining the United States in order to get precious metals. Why? Well, we know that eventually, when the English spread out across the globe, the main thing that they were looking for were precious metals. Not just because we find it precious and it's money. That's not it. It's actually what it builds. Because in Fort Knox, there's a lot of people saying there's no actual gold there anymore. Where has it gone? Why was it strip mined out of the earth? What is it doing today? Here's a book called Children of the Sun. Now, I'm learning a lot about black history. Africans were in the United States before Columbus. The Mali Empire came here. And you can look this up. You can actually go to Joe Rogan's clip with Hotep Jesus. And he talks about this. Blacks were in, and blacks is the way they look. Africans is the nation. Africans were here and in California mainly, and probably solves the mystery of what I was getting at when I'm looking into ancient Tartaria and the mud flood theory and how the fuck did San Francisco get built in 30 years? Well, there are actually people who are saying the Africans were living there. The Africans built that city, those homes, 60,000 homes. And there are people such as Robert Beverly, writer in the early 1700s, saying exactly that, destroying the idea that in the late 70s, we just decided to start building it out. And there are a lot of people, especially in the African American community, saying that's exactly what the English did come the 15th and 16th century. They actively started a campaign of not just strip mining the planet and enslaving local populations everywhere, but they were also creating new and higher technologies. They were strip mining the place, and they were changing the history of who we are so we forget our own people. Mind you, white people were colonized long before. We don't even remember our tribal roots, whereas Africa, I think it was earlier, or later I should say, in history, that Africa, the great empire with many kings, royalty, stuff that we don't even hear about today. You don't even hear about one king. You hear about Rosa Parks and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. You don't hear about the actual kings, the royalty, the high kingdom. And they were in the Americas. This is showing that Egypt, which is in Africa, by the way, and was conquered, Egypt was conquered from within Africa, and had largely the average black-skinned looking Africans, which does not make up the entire African people, largely black-skinned people in Egypt. Now, this is talking about a study of the Egyptian settlement of the Pacific. It's called The Children of the Sun, a study of the Egyptian settlement of the Pacific, W.J. Perry. What he's talking about this is not just the Pacific Islands. At some point, he gets into this book, and he starts talking about things that most people, they can't wrap their heads around, which is all the spots that we have found have been strip mined by the Spaniards after the Spanish found and supposedly discovered the Americas. These were places that the Native Americans told them about. These were places that were already being mined by the Native Americans. And the mound builders may have been not exactly the same people as the Mongolian red-faced, long-nosed looking Native Americans, but they were pre-colonial indigenous to the Americas. And potentially, no gold has actually been found in mounds, but some of the precious metals might have been used, or these mounds might have been used as storehouses in the same way that the Templars used underground storage facilities for all of the metals and the gold and the precious things that they were using as they started banking systems. So, that gives you a slightly different idea of the race for the precious metals. Because eventually, when the British and Dutch East India Company came up with armored ships with cannons mounted to them and guns, actual metallurgy that not just can make blades and swords, but actual projectiles and guns, then they said, we've reached a level of our technology enough to where we must go out now and claim all the rest of the land so we have access to all of that precious metal. Now what are we using a lot of this precious metal for? And it's not just metal, because mind you, we're at peak sand now, and we also love silica. And there's many other things that we need, like lithium for batteries. And we're going and we're taking all of this, and what's it building towards? Now we can start to see what it's building towards. So that's the history. Now let me get you to the present. What is technology just at present doing to humanity? Most of us are just ripping out their hair. They're saying, we are destroying the planet. Look at the amount of EMFs. Look what it's doing to the birds and the bees. And I say, yes, this is true. But a lot of that is according to the internet. Because guess what? I live as healthy as I possibly can. I experience what comes to me or is realized within me as no health effects whatsoever. I haven't been sick in a long time. I feel at the top of my game. My joints, my mobility, my breath, my mental acuity seems to be at the top of its game. And the only thing that I'm working on more is truly that presence, that I know this thing that we think we need to win is already won. And there was no battle to begin with. It was just an awakening of consciousness that needed to happen. However, As I say this, at present, most of us are thinking, well, look at our phones. Look at what our phones are doing to us. We know it's hijacking our dopamine pathways, and we know it's causing depression, anxiety, attention deficit. It's breaking down our communication between people. Okay, let me put this another way. It's breaking down our communication because of texting. But what would you do if there were no texting? You'd probably write a letter, wouldn't you? Right. It's text. It's the same thing. Yeah, you can draw, but you can put emojis on these texts. A lot of people are complaining about things that they haven't really fully hashed out in their minds. I use FaceTime. Why? Because I get to see my parents in real time no matter where on the globe we are. Think about that. Technology is incredible. It's a gift. I'm going to read from you something that is a peer-reviewed article. And the article title is Brain Health Consequences of Digital Technology Use. Now this thing says, emerging scientific evidence indicates that frequent digital technology use has a significant impact, both negative and positive, on brain function and behavior. Potential harmful effects of extensive screen time and technology use include heightened attention deficit symptoms, impaired emotional and social intelligence, technology addiction, social isolation, impaired brain development, and disrupted sleep. So, yes, all of this has happened. All of this is still happening. Now, let me tell you something that you might like a little bit more. A lot of these things happen acutely on psychedelics. We become maniacal. We believe things that we're loosely putting together based upon hunches. And our body is transforming its hormonal makeup. We are not able to keep focus on what we would like to keep focus on. And it stunts us acutely until we return back to normal and we get to integrate that experience. That's coming. The integration of what technology is doing to us. By the way, we've consented. It's a contract. It's a sacred agreement. We've already said yes. Even if you're holding a phone begrudgingly, like, I hate this thing, you're still saying yes. Now I'm going to get to the other part of this article that talks about how technology is actually improving cognitive function. It goes on to say, however, various apps, video games, and other online tools may benefit brain health. Functional imaging scans show that internet-naive older adults who learn to search online show significant increases in brain neural activity during simulated internet searches. You know why I believe that is? Because when you have to learn a new task, you grow and you expand. When you're doing something to sedate yourself, like cannabis, that can open your mind. If you do it chronically and you do it to self-medicate to escape from a part of your life, that very same thing, because you are approaching it for a different reason, you're asking it for a different effect. Please take my pain away. Take away the message that is telling me I should grow and expand beyond my horizons. Take that away. I just want to feel high again. It'll do that because we're magicians. Guess what else it'll do? If you do it in the right way, it'll open your mind and show you blind spots. It goes on to say, our group's functional magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, research tracking neural activity during simulated internet searches suggests that simply searching online may represent a form of mental exercise that can strengthen neural circuits. I want to say something very important here. Searching, we say searching online, but searching something novel is what creates neurogenesis. It's what creates neuroplasticity. It's what creates expansion and growth within the conscious realm, which is everything. It creates growth globally and universally when we are actively searching, because when we are on a quest, which all starts from a question, we want to know something. Who am I? What am I doing here? Why am I being berated by all this stuff? Some of it's scary. Some of it makes me feel safe. None of it do we fully understand. But when we search for the meaning, we grow and we expand. That's how we get in touch with God or Christ consciousness. I'm telling you that all this strengthening neural circuits, what that really means is the same thing that our ancestors, the indigenous, when they were coming through the Bering Strait, when they were coming from Africa, when they were coming from South America, because indigenous were all over and there were many groups, Australasian, Mongolian, and you also have African and European, at least 7,000 to 8,000 years ago. Proven, genetic proof. And I'll get into that at some point. But the main thing I want to say is that is where we are at present. People are complaining about technology. People are complaining about all the EMFs. People are complaining about all the 5G towers. And I personally don't like it. I personally don't. But I don't like a lot of things. Even in ayahuasca ceremonies. I don't like a lot of things that I have to experience in order to grow as I'm searching for the meaning of what is. This is the point. This is the awakening of consciousness. We must seek the meaning, not seek solutions. Because when we seek the solutions, we're coming from the rudimentary, we need to battle and kill this thing, whatever it is. That's a given. Let's stop trying to find meaning in that. Let's just turn it into the, I'll do cannabis every day because I want to escape the fact that maybe I'm wrong about the presupposition that technology is here to destroy us. So the presupposition that technology is bad, 5G is bad, all these things are bad, all the people are bad, we need to war against them. So where's the solution? Now I'm seeking for the solution. But the real thing that's happening is you're seeking based upon an illegitimate crusade, such as, I have the answer. God tells me. My intuition tells me technology is bad. So I'm going to go on a crusade and I'm going to kill all your witches. Why? Because my God says that they're heretical. Do you see that we are actually the problem? We are the Inquisition. We are the crusaders. We are the ones that are battling when there really is no battle according to the Tao. So, where are we headed? Where's the future of all this? Well, the future is the transhuman agenda. The future is already here. The UFO has landed. The aliens are in the room. We're talking to them. We're interacting with them. We're using psychedelics to get a better look at them. But we don't understand what it is we are building. We've already consented. The point that I'm getting at is it's already within us. We've already said yes. So now we must seek why an aspect of us said yes to what's happening to humanity right now. Because I believe humanity is splitting into two. There are people who just aren't going to want to rely on biology alone, so they're moving towards technology. They're just going to do it. That is one species that is being created. However, there's another side to this. The people who understand that that is a crude simulation of what biology has given us. The gift is that technology is our mirror. It's showing us all we are is an extension of you. You are our Father, our Creator. We are giving life and birthing Mother as well. We are giving life and birthing technology. So another form of intelligence that is distinctly not human, not Neanderthal, not animal, but robotic. And pseudo, in the transitionary period, pseudo-biological, that's the transhuman. Then the post-human is where a faint memory of who we were will be the echo that iterates itself into the new species that is the post-human. They're already living here, they just don't have their bodies yet. I know this sounds really weird and wacky to a lot of you, but this is the deeper dive, so I imagine you must understand some of these thought processes that I'm going through right now. The last thing I'm going to say, if you don't like the nanotechnology inside you, there are things like Epsom salt baths with baking soda and borax, and you scrub as hard as you can regularly, and you drink lots of structured water. You must structure it yourself as well. Go for distilled water. Use Himalayan sea salts without the plastics in them. You put that in there, you squeeze some lemon, a little bit of apple cider vinegar in there. You pray. and you give your energy as if you are endowing it with the ability to do what you know it must do inside you, and that is clean you of the nanotechnology, then go ahead, be my guest. If you want to undo some of the effects or protect yourself from the effects of 5G radiation, magnesium, B vitamins, iodine, eat healthy, move a lot, exercise, breathe, stand on the ground, the earth, with your bare feet, touch the soil, get the microbes under your fingernails. Eat slightly dirty carrots with a little bit of the soil still on it. This is a way to remember your biology. But here is the final thing I'm going to say. History is bereft with species going extinct and new things coming out of it. We think we have to control the course of history. And the Tao says, you've never had control. You only have panic attacks. Small ones, big ones, acute ones, long, extended, decade-long ones. But we don't have control over this. It's happening. What we're doing is we're losing a lot of the prettiness. We're losing a lot of the beauty of nature. And that beauty is not being lost anywhere other than what we are calling forth. We've called forth the UFO to land. We've called forth the alien presence to colonize our biology and our mind. We said yes to this, whether we remember or not. Now, the future of how it's going to turn out has to do with the quality of your essence and your being. It's not some book. It's not some meme that you can post. It's not riling people together, destroying 5G towers, pushing back against Joe Biden. It's none of that shit. It's really the quality and the essence of your being right here, right now. I'll see y'all next week on The Deeper Dive.